Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to do a how-to on changing your horn on a Honda Civic 8th Gen. This will apply to other cars as well. We're going to be using factory horns off of a 1998 Land Rover, which is something we're parting out right now and selling the pieces. And the Land Rover had two horns, the Civic has one. I'm going to be using mostly reusing parts, so like I'm using some wiring from the Land Rover. I'm going to try and fabricate a bracket for the extra horn. So some of the tools you're going to need is going to be an Allen wrench, I think that's a number 5, a 10 and a 12 socket wrench, some snips, a bag of bolts. You're also going to need a crimper, some wiring, a flathead screwdriver. I need to remove these tabs here. And also underneath the car, there are a bunch of tabs as well. Mine don't have it on because I think I just never put them back on after they fell out. Now you're gonna wanna remove your at least your negative terminal for the battery, so disconnect your battery. And so to get started, you just take off those tabs in the front. Okay, now we have the top piece off. You just slide that out, and then you have two plastic pieces on each side. You can remove the pop tabs off of those, and this is where the Allen wrench comes in. Two bolts there that you unscrew. So as you see, unscrew that. Also, there are two screws by the wheel, kind of where the fender meets the bumper. And my car has fog lights, so I have to unplug the fog lights there and then remove the bumper. So then take your, I believe this is a 10mm, and unscrew the horn. I also then unscrewed the bracket that was holding the horn as well, so that I could access more of the wiring. Now trim back the covering to the wire. I had to add an extension to the wire because I cut mine a little too short, so that's what that red wire is. The Civic horn only has one wire. I believe it's just the power wire, so I connected that to the positive power wire on the Land Rover horn. So here's the original bracket from the Civic. I had to drill it out a little bit to widen the hole to make it fit on the larger Land Rover horn. And here's the other side. As you can see, this is the piece of metal I found. If you don't have a piece of metal laying around, you could probably get one at any sort of hardware store. Just get a piece of metal, drill some holes in it, and make your own bracket. And buy a bracket for the 2006 to 2011 Honda Civic Si, because they had dual horn. I just used a vice grip to bend it. It was pretty easy to bend. And I'm just installing it here. You can see I'm just modifying a little bit with the vice grip. And there it is installed. I just used my bag of bolts. And I'm installing the main bracket back onto the car. And now that I have the wiring set up, the power wire running to the power wire, the positive wire of the new horn. And I'm just putting that rectangular shaped bracket back on as well. Putting the bolt back on that came with this horn. Now this is gonna work with any horn that you get. You just need to fabricate the wires. You can use the power wire, and then you just need to get a separate ground. And to connect it to the other side, I'm using an alligator clip and crimping in another wire to run across to the passenger side. And once I have that in place, I ground wire put into place. I filed down that portion of the metal to get a good ground, a solid ground to it, and I'm doing it on the other side as well, getting that ground set up. I just used a eyelet crimp, and I crimped the wire into that, and then used the bolt to connect it to the body. I plugged the battery back together. I switched the horn around on the passenger side just so that they were both facing the same way and had a similar look to it. Alright, now let's do it before and after. Okay, so test your horn before you put your bumper back on, make sure everything's working. Now you can put your bumper back together. The refit is basically just the reverse of removing it, so put it all back together. And that's it, and overall it was pretty simple. It took me about an hour to do.